have no money to give you.
I did not beg him for money. I promise. We are live. I'm Lynn Serrano.
I'm Brian. Brian Kelm. That had to be like right on point. Like out of all the things that we say right before we're ready to go online, and then it just happens.
Yeah, we'll be
One could
right back.
only wonder what was the makeup of that conversation.
I was complimenting him, and he just thought he had to pay me for it. Well, we'll be right back after this.
Whoa.
3 years later, and we're trying something new. We're being real and raw. And he's like, "What are we going to talk about?" I'm like, "We're just going to show up like a radio show. I mean, like we're just showing up." And he's got a jacket on, and I just happen to say, "Hey, you're just all GQ aviator on there. You're just a handsome guy." And he's like, "Oh, I just can't pay you for that, I guess."
No, I got no money to pay you. And then she goes, and then that's when we actually went live. Imagine that.
And since I've met him, I guess his lighting's gotten better. But I tell you, either that or my eyes changed. But there's no redhead tinting. Look at this picture I got down there. I got to change the stage thing. There's redhead on this little picture down here. I got to change that even.
I must have been really bad with lighting because it showed up orange or ginger.
Yeah. Everybody was swearing that you were a ginger for the longest time. Like, no, hey, we didn't tag Michelle, so I don't see her on here yet. So, sorry, Michelle.
Tiger. Yeah.
Tag her. What? I gotta do something. Okay. So you talk for a second while I try to go find Michelle.
Yeah. So I've been running errands like crazy this morning, and it's cold as heck here in Wisconsin. And of course, everybody is just my interpretation is that everybody's driving erratically slow. And I had to get back, and I had an extra couple minutes, and I saw that my internet was not strong, so I got back on time and turned on the light, and I'm still in my code for my errands to run. So Lynn's trying to message one of our loyal followers who is a professional photographer and a mother and a wife, and I grew up with her in high school.
And she surprised me last week with our wonderful Rex, who I love Rex to the max. So I just sent her the video there. Rex is just an amazing guy. Just love him to the max. And of course, Larry, you got me so surprised with that. I put that on my reel. I've gotten a lot of hits on the reel for Larry. So
yeah, Larry's a really good dude. I've done a lot of his training inside Selling from the Heart and his organization, and I've done his mastermind every week, and I've done his intensive, which is a year-long commitment, and just a very cool guy, very kind guy that will do anything he possibly can to help somebody, and he's just a very humble dude, and I don't know, he's just a very rare figure. That's not, he wants to help, and you don't get that perception that it's about money or whatever, even though he's got to get paid for what he does and his expertise. But the way that he does it is just a class act.
You want to know what's really funny is he and I run the same circles, but we haven't connected our circles yet. And he and I belong to Scott Schilling's circle. Yep. And on Mondays, and I've got to get in there too. And so we've been in there a couple times together. And then it's funny because I haven't done much with my LinkedIn, but I'm starting to, because with doing the podcast and uploading the podcast stuff and wanting to do clips and stuff, I want to get it more on LinkedIn, so that we can connect with our personal target, thing. So I'm working on that. And for key things of what I'm going to be talking about on LinkedIn, I need 150 people before I can link in our live shows, right? Yep. So I put in there some of the things that we always talk about is perspective and perception and open mind. And it's funny because those are some of his taglines on too. So I'm getting some of his articles, and I'm like, so he and I do come from the heart, and we do perspective and stuff. So it's just really cool because he and I, we come from the same mind and from the same perspective that way. And it's nice how, like you could go like this, and you can just, you're meeting with the same person, and running, doing parallel things, and eventually it all clicks together, and that's what's really nice.
He's he's a full transparency type of guy, and I know that, politically correctness and all of that. I mean, that's not us, right? But
Yeah.
Larry is he tells it like it is. He's straight up. He does it in a very professional way, but he gives you the reality of business, sales, and a certain approach of selling, and a certain approach of marketing and sales and advertising that is not readily adopted by many people.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is because they might allude to it, but everything about their actions within all the writings is about high pressure, or follow up with them a million times or something, versus like, okay, where's the exchange of relatedness? Where's the exchange of care? Where's the exchange that you're in it for the customer, in it for the relationship, and not just about the dollars and the repulse with the checkbook type of approach?
And it's funny because I purposely haven't read his book because I feel that he comes from the same mind I do without me sounding
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, that's what I think or whatever. So my thing is that I'm going to read his book here soon, but I
Yeah.
feel like it's going to be one of those things that just edify exactly how I
Oh
am
yeah.
because
You got to read it. Yeah, you got to
because
read it.
but it's gonna be also really cool because it's gonna be like, aha, another human being that feels and comes from the same school of thought that I did, and it's gonna be exciting because it's finally finding the other person that's preaching the same way I do, and then I'm gonna be hounding him like, we gotta do more together. So I just know
Well,
he's really busy, and I'm trying to catch up to getting my message. I've been feeling out with the podcast. I mean, almost 600 podcasts, and I'm just feeling out now where I'm trying to get my niche and get where that whole TV network of collaborating with people that come from the same mind, not from a
right,
sales point, but from a mind point that they do service people. And if they
right.
make some sales along the way, great. But that's not where they came first of the sale. They came for being a human being first in my
And I
book.
think too
Hi,
is that
Mindy.
how well, and I think that how somebody shows up. Hey, Mindy, thanks for being here.
Yep.
How somebody shows up once in a while is an indication, but how they show up every day is another thing. And
Right.
obviously, depending on who they are and their backstory, which you can find online, will tell you a lot about if it's just show or if it's actually who they are. Like,
Right.
what's their backstory? Do they talk about it a lot? Do they, you know, are they blessed every day by how grateful they are to serve others versus doing what they got in the sales industry, but it wasn't for them, or they saw more within themselves that they can do more for others, you
Right.
know? And just because it's presented, and we've talked about this in previous shows, just because something seems great and is presented as if like, wow, I can do that too, doesn't mean that the person that is represented there, or the person you might be buying from, is representative of that, or they've done anything in the world,
Yeah.
you know?
My biggest thing is I'm trying not reinvent the wheel, but my thing is really endorsing the people that I truly feel that have the
Uh,
good hearts and that
yep.
I feel like I can sign off to say, yeah, I like to do business with them. And when I give a recommendation or a referral to, hey, do business with this person,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they're not going for the mighty dollar. They're going to treat this person like a human being. And if it doesn't work out, they're still going to treat that person as a good human being
Right.
and
Right.
not for the dollars that I'm sending over your way.
Well,
And
and it's just so it's so comforting yet rare that if somebody cannot help you based on what you're putting at stake and where you want to move the needle to, for somebody to say, "Hey, I appreciate the time we invested together. I'm not the best person for that." And
right,
Larry would be that type of person. And it's so refreshing because most people would, be like, wow, they're ready to write the check. And it's like, well, there's also an outcome that they're looking at that I would not best serve versus somebody else. And a lot of people in sales will not say that. They'll just be like, take the money, figure out the rest later. And I
yeah.
don't agree with that philosophy
Well, they'd be
because
like,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
I say they'd be a typical gym owner. Hey,
right,
pay the money.
right.
I don't give a shit if you show up or not.
No.
You know,
And after you become after you find your way in whatever field, hopefully you want to niche down into
right,
whatever that is, where you're going to go 1 inch wide and 10 feet deep versus the vice versa of that. And relationships and how you make those and how deep they are versus like the pipeline that is always empty. Uh, no, that's just, there's a lot of approaches,
Right.
selling and whatever. And in my opinion, that there's nothing new. It's just regurgitated stuff that was either undeclared or not remembered or whatever, because it's like you can be immersed in a lot of different types of ideologies, but it doesn't necessarily mean you got to the source of any of them or
Right.
really follow any of them. It's just because everybody's coming at you with message after message. And there's followers of all different types, right?
Yeah.
By a guy by the name of GC to JG to, whatever. And there's nothing right and wrong, but I can tell you right now, me as being a consumer, if I was to do that to my clientele, they would not want to do business with me if it was high pressure, you
Right.
know, say yes or no. I'm going to beat you to a bloody pulp until you decide. That may work for some,
Mhm.
but for the wedding and corporate based experiential type of world, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It may work for a few, but number one, they're not going to do business with you again. Number two, the word of mouth referrals aren't going to be there because they're going to tell other people don't do business with this person.
Right. Right. Yeah. I was sought out in my industry when I was doing the lingerie and stuff. And it's funny. I mean, I got to a point where I was like, I'll do business. I was like, the soup Nazi. I was like, I mean, like, I'll do parties for who I want to, don't,
Yeah,
I had plenty of referrals and this and that, and I gave a lot of value and this and that. But, I give, quite a bit out and stuff, but it's the, what can you give me? And I would give so much of myself and so much of whatever. And yet, so many people can take it. And I'm just so opposite of a lot of business owners. But
yeah,
but when, I give a lot of value, but I also appreciate them too, And so, but you can't be, it's a give and take exchange that can't be
right,
taken for granted. But of course, it comes from years of me being a consumer before I was a owner,
correct,
and I know
yeah,
how I want to be treated. And there's just a
yeah.
lot of people in different industries that have ruined it for different industries and
Oh yeah.
different people too.
Well,
So
and they're not, number one, they're not willing to pay the price to be great at their craft. They're just expecting the company to train them or whatever, which okay, you got your beliefs, but at the same time, if you want to be successful in anything, you gotta do it yourself. Don't expect,
yeah,
kind of like what Gittimer talked about early on in some of his teachings, where it's like, hey, you make money now. You can create your own business cards. There's no need or like a conference or a body of education. If you're making your own money now, why are you waiting to determine if the company's going to pay for it or not? Because
right.
the company, yes, you represent the company and you work for the company, but does the company have your best interest in mind for you as a professional out in the world doing things?
Well,
They may or may not have that purpose.
the problem is sometimes people are so hungry to pay their own bills as an owner, they forget to be human and not listen to what the client is saying. They're not
Right,
saying no. They might be saying no right now,
right,
but of course they have somebody pass away or be sick or they financially can't do something or whatever.
right,
Take to heart what they're going through. Be compassionate. Feel what they're going through, and they're going to remember that you had a heart to listen to them for what they're going through. And they're going to say, I can't help you, but I'm going to find people that can, go do business with you because I can't right now. So it's
hmm,
just many ways of reciprocation and understanding that goes further than the mighty dollar or further whatever. And it's sad that most people don't have that compassion,
no,
you
they don't
know.
have that compassion, but also, though, I'm a firm believer that now this is not going to be for somebody that is brand new to selling, where they don't have a portfolio of business
Right.
or proven track record, but somebody that is really established. I find it very fascinating, but also though very, I don't know, curious is, and plus very quite frustrating to be honest with you, of professionals that they don't let their credibility and reputation forward. What I mean
Hmm.
by that is where they don't challenge their prospective customers from a standpoint of like something thought provoking or getting them to think about, if it's an experience like what I provide,
Right.
is getting them to think in such a way that they might have never thought of that way before with questions. How do you want to feel? How do you want it to look? You know, and it doesn't take very much to create those kinds of questions, but you also have to live in that world.
Right.
And it just, it becomes very frustrating and also though very kind of 101 when people they let prospective customers walk all over them. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying though is that they they give them the farm without having any credibility or any kind of reputation that they need to uphold. That
Yeah.
some people are not going to want to reserve you because of your value, your performance skills, the outcomes you provide. They're a price only type of customer, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you still have an opportunity to keep it civil, along with direct them in such a way, give them a free resource. Maybe you have a downloadable guide that can help them. Maybe you have something that you can message them or send them or whatever that can help them. Because in my opinion is that they reached out to me. The least I can do is make sure that their experience was pleasurable and great, regardless if I'm actually going to be able to personally help them. And I find that that's something that unless they're getting dollars from somebody, they're like, kind of like next up, get out of here. I don't have time for you. And that's just the wrong, that's a wrong way of doing it because you don't know who they know,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like I've gotten testimonials, like literally like written testimonials who people went online to give me a review based on a wedding I couldn't even do. It was
Yeah.
based on a conversation I had with a bride where it just financially didn't work out, which is okay. But I feel so many people like get away from that elephant in the room instead of talking about it, right? Being civil about it. You know, could it get are some people not abrasive and very they want a frictionless, type of environment? Sure, but I still think it can coexist when you're talking about dollars. If that's what's the hang up, if the connection is on point and the customer wants to work with the seller and the seller wants to work with the customer, and if the dollars are the only thing getting in the way, well, then let's work out a payment program. Let's work out something because to try to find that kind of relationship where you trust each other is not something that happens very often. But also, though, that number one needs to be the type of service or product that they're buying, but also though how the prospective customer perceives that. If they
Right.
perceive it as just a tangible item that is like a widget or something, well, then it's only going to be a commodity purchase. It's going to
Right.
be a transaction at best. It's not going to be something transformative where they are crafting a personal outcome. They are crafting an experience where they need to be engaged in the process.
Well, we could talk about this topic forever, and we're running
Oh
out of
yeah,
time. But the bottom line is, it's just we forget to be human. And I think sometimes, when you're the owner, you forget what it is to be the consumer and vice versa,
one
you
of the
know?
one of the things I love to impart to prospective customers, and it doesn't matter if it's weddings or corporate events, or if it's for heating or air conditioning or whatever, is to challenge the person on the other end of the phone. Challenge them for their integrity. Challenge them for how much they're going to commit to you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Are they willing to pay the price for you and your referrals?
Right.
Because I know that everybody has a script, everybody's been trained. Depending on their level of training, will tell you how much they actually know or how you experience them, right?
Right.
But it's like I have no problem. I'm a big advocate of challenging people.
Right.
Not because you're creating a negative confrontational environment, because every single thing that they advertise or market or whatever, that's on display every time that somebody sees their material, their marketing propaganda, or their marketing collateral. And so then it's like if you're not going to hold somebody accountable to what they say or declare that they are, what's the point? You
Yep.
know?
Absolutely. Well, Brian, as always, it's great to talk to you. I appreciate you and
Likewise.
love you very much. Mindy,
I
thank you so
swooped right
much
in.
for, yes, you did. And
A
a
challenge can
challenge
be
can be
good. Yeah.
good. Yes.
100%, Molly. 100%.
It's
Yeah.
Mindy. Yeah.
Oh, Mindy. Sorry, Molly. Mindy. Sorry. Sorry.
It's
Mindy. There it is.
okay.
Mindy, not
It's
Molly.
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Mindy. Thank you for your comment.
Sometimes we read the things fast. Don't, I'm sure she didn't take it personal, Brian.
Well, it's on my
Okay.
phone, so it's like, man, I got to get bigger eyeballs or something because
It's
it's
okay.
it's
It's
Mindy. It's
okay.
not Molly. My
She
apologies.
see she thought that was cute too. So it's okay.
Good. Yeah.
It's
Thanks for
okay.
being here, Mindy.
All right. He'll never forget that. He'll never make that mistake again.
Nope. I'm gonna put it right on my window. It's Mindy, not Molly.
All right. Well, for Michelle that was going to watch a replay, we love you. We appreciate
Yeah.
you. And we didn't forget about you.
No.
All right. Brian did because I messaged you. He didn't. Getting
Hey,
brownie points now. Hey, I love
yeah.
you. Enough said.
Love you too.
I'm gonna hit. Oh, let me see. I'm slacking over here.